Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. We are back today with another storytelling slash lore tips video. But before we jump into it, Ainsley kind of gave it away already. But if y'all have been following my Winslow legacy on my channel, in the last part I did have Ainsley and her boyfriend Rohan move out into their own studio apartment, and I did play quite a bit off camera, and now Ainsley is pregnant. So that is a huge surprise. Turns out she's also having twins. Yeah, I just wanted to update y'all on that. Now let's jump into the storytelling tips. My first tip for this video is to try out different skills. And this kind of goes along with one of my previous tips, which was to try new careers. And in general, like, I guess those can all just be condensed down to try new things, but particularly trying new skills, I have found, can just be a really great way to end up in different places in your gameplay and in your storyline in general. This is coming from personal experience as well, because I definitely have a tendency to kind of always be playing the same skills all the time, especially since I tend to send my Sims to university. They tend to always have really good research and debate skills, which like isn't very realistic. That's something that really needs to be cultivated, and not everybody does that. My Sims also tend to have really high fitness skills. They tend to have high parenting skills, but again, these aren't really realistic things for all my Sims to have. And if you take a look at your Sims and you're finding that like most of them have the same exact high skills, I think it's a really good idea to try and switch it up, because there actually are so many skills in this game. I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot you can do in this game in terms of skills. I'm just taking a look at the wiki here, and there's so many like that come with each pack, obviously, and then just like the base game skills, there's so many of those as well. There's just so much you can do. Like with the vampires, I have never touched these skills because honestly I don't touch occults that much, but still, that is still something that would be interesting to have my Sims try. I kind of have Rohan trying out the thanatology skill because I just really wanted to try that out with the new pack. In general, there's so many things you can do. This kind of is similar to my tip about trying out new careers, but I think it's also similar to kind of giving your Sims hobbies, which was also one of my tips in the last video. If you feel like you can't figure out a way to get your Sims to try new skills, consider it as a new hobby. So like in real life, a lot of people will have like artistic hobbies. So for example, knitting, cross stitch, painting, and those are like more, I guess, traditional hobbies, I would say. But then people like go rock climbing a lot. That is something I discovered recently. A lot of people love rock climbing and go rock climbing like every single week. That is 100% something you can consider a hobby. Even skiing and snowboarding, like people go on vacations with their families every single year. Gemology, nectar making, juice fizzing, fabrication, these can all be things that are like hobbies slash side hustle type thing. Just because your Sims have a side hustle, they don't need to hone the entrepreneur skill. You know what I mean? Like you can really kind of make that your own and try out these new skills while giving your Sims other things to do. In this particular storyline, I honestly don't think Ainsley has time for a side hustle. She's about to have twins. You know, she's still in university. Miss Girl does not have time for that. But I had started having her paint as kind of a hobby, and I definitely see her as the type of Sim with a side hustle as well. If y'all have any ideas for what side hustle to give her, do let me know in the comments. My next tip is another try new things overarching tip, and it is to try out new worlds. Like have your Sims live in different worlds, put vacation lots down in different worlds so you have an excuse to like go there. I definitely fall into this trap, y'all, because especially since The Sims 4 is just like so many loading screens, it can be really hard to just like even just go off the lot. I definitely have talked about this in many of my past videos. Playing in the same house all the time, as cozy and comforting as it is, it can definitely lead you into a rut. And again, that's just not realistic. Like if you're trying to play for realism and realistic storylines, leaving the house is something that most people do a lot. But just beyond that, I think having your Sims like live in different worlds or at least visit different worlds can be so helpful. I will be the first to admit I put my Sims in the same worlds all the frickin' time. Like it's either San Myshuno, Brindleton Bay, Bright Chester, because they always go to university, or Chestnut Ridge, because I freaking love Chestnut Ridge. I think it's a beautiful world. And I have like barely lived in any of these other worlds in a very long time. For example, I've never like had a family in San Sequoia. Oh, I have had families in Copperdale, but never really in Sulani. From Tomarang onwards, I have not lived in these worlds at all. I've barely even visited them. And again, it's so easy to get in a rut when you're playing in the same worlds all the time. That's just naturally gonna happen if you're seeing like the same exact Sims all the time. If you're seeing the same scenery. Also, all the different worlds, they all have bars, but they also have like different stuff to do in the worlds for the most part. Like obviously Ravenwood now has like a cemetery. There's a lot of different things you can do like in the town. In San Sequoia, I know for a fact, like if you visit this area, like you can have your Sims go to a movie. It's kind of like Sims 3 vibes where it's a rabbit hole movie theater, but it's still like a cute little date night idea. So there honestly is a lot that you can do in terms of storyline and like realism just by visiting different worlds, or even more importantly, living in different worlds. I genuinely think there's so much you can do. Right now in the story, I think it makes sense for Rohan and Ainsley to have stayed close to home because they kind of need that support right now. But I do plan on having them move to a different world. Also, if we're talking about realism, like, and you want to keep the locations of the worlds realistic in your mind, there are a lot of maps out there of like where people think the different worlds are located. Ainsley wants to be a politician. I don't think it makes sense to live in Brindleton Bay. You know what I mean? Like in that vein as well, I think it's definitely realistic to consider things like that when you're choosing what world your Sims live in, and thereby it'll like force you to try out new worlds and new things and spice up your game a little bit more. My next tip is to use the in-game lore. So there's a lot of in-game Sims 4 lore. I was thinking about this recently because when I was going through the new lots in Ravenwood and I was reading through all the household descriptions, I was like, oh my god, there's so much going on here, and not everything is super up my alley because again, I'm a realistic Sims player. I don't play with occults that often, but there's still so much you can do, y'all. If you're not sure where to take the storyline next, like jump into one of those households, do some rotational gameplay, like play out a storyline that has already been written for you. It will spark that creativity for your own storyline. You can twist the storyline in game. Like that's a really cool thing about Sims in my opinion, is like everybody's game looks completely different. I think that's so fun, honestly so beautiful. Like the fact that everybody's game is different because everybody will take their story in a completely different way, even if it's inspired by someone else. For the most part, like everybody does something different based on their own creativity, and that extends to the in-game lore. Like even though the Sims team has written out these really cool stories that you can jump in and play, you can like incorporate those stories into your own storyline. For example, there's like a storyline in Ravenwood about like one of the families, it's like heavily implied that the mom has like killed her past partners and I don't know, maybe you have like a detective sim or something like that, and you incorporate that storyline that's already been pre-written into your own storyline by having your sim like investigate certain things. I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot you can do with the in-game lore, and I think utilizing it can be so valuable if you're not sure where to take your storyline next. This idea is definitely inspired by some of the comments. Thank you all so much for commenting things that you do to spice up your game, because I think it's so valuable for me and also for everybody else who's clicking on these videos and just like wants some ideas. I realize that I do like to do this. I'm talking about changing things over time, traits, but also like aspirations, careers, all this stuff. I think a lot of people, the reason they fall into a rut is that they create a sim with like certain attributes. And I used to play the game like this as well, is that once I created a character, it was like that was the character. They had the same career, they had the same aspiration. At the time, they also had the same traits, because again, The Sims fairly recently introduced that mechanism of traits changing over time just in game, but they also would have the same preferences and everything. And as I've grown older, because keep in mind, The Sims 4 has also been out for like what, 10 years now? I was 14 when I started playing The Sims 4. Like, and from that time to now, y'all, I have changed so much as a person, which I like everybody does. But forget 14 to now, even 2 years ago to now, I have changed so much as a person. Preferences have changed. If we had traits like The Sims do in real life, I think those would have changed for me. I've moved cities, I've changed careers technically, like I guess again, aspiration wise, if we had like preset aspirations like The Sims have, I would say that's changed over time too. Oh, honestly, over the past few months, that's changed for me. So I just think it's very unrealistic to have anything in your Sims lives stay the same. You can be so intentional about that, wherein like you're really playing into a storyline. Like for example, Ainsley's aspiration is academic, but obviously like that's only gonna be while she's in university. You know what I mean? It's so easy to change aspirations as well. Like you can do that without a problem. Again, with traits, now we have like that in-game mechanism where they like pop up and change them. You don't even have to do that. You just have to turn on testing cheats and then cast that full edit mode, and you can enter create a sim at any point and change your Sims traits that way. If for almost anything, you can change it at any point, either by turning on cheats or even without cheats. So it's truly such a valuable thing to keep a realistic and intentional storyline going. And honestly, it's how I do legacy gameplay. A lot of y'all ask Simmers, myself included, how you can play long legacies and play through a lot of generations. It's by changing things within a Sim's lifetime too, and having them grow and change, because you get so attached to the characters. Last but not least, I wanted to just include a little tip that can help spark creativity, because that's something I've been trying to include in every video. Is like, if you don't have a storyline plan but you want one, ways that you can kind of start creating that storyline. And one way that I think is really great to do it is by using online randomizers. I do think they can be very, very helpful if you are just getting into creating your own storyline. Basically, you can just like assign random values to things. Like, for example, if you roll a 1, then your Sim will have a certain career, versus if they roll a 2, they'll do something else, you know? You can use it in a more straightforward way. Obviously, if your Sim rolls a 1, they'll have 1 kid, or if they roll a 2, they have 2. And I think it can be a really valuable way to get yourself out of a rut if you're in one. With that, y'all, that's all the tips I have for this video. Thank you all again for just like continuing to comment and leave your own tips and ideas for enjoying this game a little bit more. I am going to continue making these videos, so if you enjoy them, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, do consider joining the channel as a member for some special perks. Thanks to the EA Creator Network, I also am running a giveaway currently over in my Discord for the 2 new creator kits. Make sure to join my Discord to enter any giveaways that are going on, because I do run them over there. And I also do put out like CC and things like that early over on my Discord, so make sure to go join. Also, if you are planning to buy any EA packs, do consider using my code, because it does support me. I love you all so much, and I will see you later. Bye, guys.
I was just calling to see if you're free.